Hello my busy bees. Today I'm going to show you step by step how to draw like this. Don't really have much of an intro, just gonna get into it. First things first when it comes to drawing in this style is actually the canvas size. This is a mistake I used to make back in my early art days, where I would have a canvas that was just way too small. And I was always like, why is it so like pixelated? Like I can't get any details in here. Your canvas is microscopic, girl. Hire the canvas. For this drawing in this video, it is the standard like 4K dimensions if you are trying to follow along exactly. But my recommendation is keep your canvas size over 1500 by 1500 for a style similar to mine. Okay. So after that, we're gonna just get straight into the sketch. There's two ways I actually sketch, and I'm gonna show you guys both of them. The first way is actually just silhouette, like blob sketching, where basically you don't do any defining features, you just kind of like color in the silhouette of the character. This just helps me position things right and also get proportions correct without having to worry about all those little details, you know, because when you worry too much about little details first and then you try like fixing proportions, everything, things are it's just gonna take way too long. But after I have the blob sketch in, then I go in with, you know, breaking down that even more with what we know as a regular sketch. You know, get those basic shapes in. I do the standard circle for the head and then line down the middle and then, you know, kind of regular sketching stuff. But then even after that, I have so many layers for my sketches. I'm so sorry. But I will use different colors for different aspects of my drawing if I'm trying something new, really. So if you guys are practicing this art style for the first time, I'd also recommend doing this. But like my eye like sketches, my face sketches will be like purple, my hair will be pink, stuff like that. Just so I can kind of see all of those like different parts when I'm doing line art. It makes line art so much easier when I do this. But then when I'm done with that, I'll merge all the sketch layers. And of course, like I just said, the next step is line art. Line art is the easiest part for me because it just like I'm just tracing like my own drawing. It's not even that complicated, but I can give you guys some pointers for line art for those that struggle with it. So first things first is your drawing will completely change based off of the brush you use. Like I prefer I think it's called the Jasinski ink, but I'll put a screenshot of it. I prefer that one. But I have a similar one in my Procreate brush packs, specifically the Sharp and Bold one. So if you guys are like, I want all of her brushes that she uses in one spot, just download my brush packs. They're literally like, what, like $2? Yeah, like, if you want them. You don't have to. You can find just as good ones just in the basic Procreate app. But yeah, I prefer a smoother line most of the time, but I highly recommend experimenting with the line art brush because you might find you like something completely different for lining. Like, I actually learned that my favorite line art brush is actually Clip Studio Paint. And I had to remake it in Procreate because I was like, this is a good brush. It's what I used to draw this model here. Oh my god, the lag. Hello. Yeah, pro tip. When you are doing the line art, lower the opacity of your sketch as far as possible, as far as visually possible, okay? This will make your line art so much better. You don't even know. Because I've actually noticed this problem where people are like, my sketch looks so nice, and then when I do the line art, it's just all wrong. You know? It's because when you're doing line art, like, you're still seeing the sketch, and the sketch kind of fills in those blanks. That's like, oh, that looks good. And so then when you take away the sketch, it's like, what? What happened? So just take away the sketch before you do the line art. So then when you're doing line art, you're like, okay, adding a line here makes sense. Over here kind of balances that out. And your brain just like will fill in those blanks through the line art. Next step is coloring. Okay, coloring, I'm gonna just give you guys this quick life hack because I'm not the coloring expert, but I do this thing to help with my color variation, and that's use, okay, so what I'll do is I'll take a layer and I'll make it all white, just an all white layer, and then I'll go to the blend modes and scroll to color because this will make my image black and white. I do this so then I can turn that layer on and off and be able to kind of see like how the values on my palette are contrasting with each other, and it kind of helps me pick a color palette. Now the colors that I'm using, they're in a palette already, they're part of my main character palette, so I didn't necessarily need to do this, but I'm just doing it in the video anyway to kind of show y'all how like my character's color palette like contrasts and all the colors kind of mix together well. Color theory, I'm gonna save a more in-depth video of that like for like another video, but for now you can just use this life hack for picking good colors for your character. Last step is rendering, but I'm gonna break it up into two parts, okay? First is shading. There's two methods I do for shading, okay? The first one is I'll just abuse blend modes. Like, I actually don't really remember when I did the last time I've used another method for it, except for my model maybe, but I mainly use blend modes. It's just easier because I don't have to color pick everything. Like every time I'm trying to shade a different part of my avatar, I just can kind of one layer everything, shade everything. But the other method is in fact the color picking one. The color picking one I will use more for skin tone because I can get that more red like under skin tone, which I really like. Makes your character look more alive when you shade with a more red hue. But when you color pick the skin, what you want to do is you want to make the color darker, but then higher the saturation, and then on the wheel, like if you see the 3 bars for color picking, scroll it slightly towards the red. Not a lot, don't do too much, just slightly towards the red, and it gives you that nice like shade for shading skin tone. But those are the two ways that I shade, mainly using blend modes because it's easy and I don't know, it looks nice to me. And besides those two methods, with the blend modes, there's 2 different ways I shade like on the same canvas. I do like cell shading, where I'll do like a hard shadow, right? And I'll do hard shadows everywhere. But then I do this extra shading. I call it ambient shading, where I'll take a reddish purple more so and kind of take the side of my character that's in the most shadow and airbrush, turn it on multiply, turn down the opacity, and it's just for like an ambience really in my shadows. And then the second part of rendering is obviously lighting. I don't do color picking for lighting. That's not real. I did, but if you can actually do lighting on your art without having to use blend modes, I think you're insane. But I always use the add blend mode in Procreate for all of my lighting everywhere all the time. It adds this glow effect that I eat up. I eat up every time. But I do the same thing that I do with the shadows, where I'll do the hard lighting, you know, get all the spots where the light's hitting and use hard lighting. And then I'll use the airbrush where the main focal point of the drawing is, like right in my face, in this drawing in particular. So that's how I do lighting. Really simple, actually. Rendering is really easy. Bonus, this is the bonus part about drawing, is effects and background and all of that. My pro tip for you is just experiment with your brushes. Scroll through the app, throw things together, use different colors. You know, in Procreate, I like to take my image, run it through a gradient map, and then I like to put noise on it, and then I'll add in extra like sparkles and stuff like that over it. That's kind of my preference for adding little effects, but genuinely just experiment with what your program can do, because it can just make like your final piece like look like something special when all it took was like a few brushes. Now y'all know how to draw like me. Y'all got it. I will do more videos in the future where I like go more into detail with like how to draw specific features. But for now, this is kind of just like a process video, like how I get from point A to point B. I will see you guys in the next one. Buzz buzz.